He built a palace on the shores of Long Island, threw parties so legendary the entire world showed up, and built a fortune from the shadows of the criminal underworld. And he did it all to steal another man's wife. This is the story of Gatsby, the greatest and most tragic fraud in American history, and a warning about the danger of a dream that has haunted America for 100 years. So who was this man? The story is told through the eyes of his neighbor, Nick Carraway. A young man from the Midwest, a region of broad lawns and quiet virtues, Nick came east to make his fortune in the dizzying, morally ambiguous world of the bond business. He is our guide, our moral compass, trying to navigate a world that defies easy judgment. He carries with him his father's advice. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. It is this habit of reserving judgment that makes him the perfect confidant, the quiet center of the storm that is about to unfold. He feels the moral vertigo of the East, its frantic energy and shallow relationships, a stark contrast to the stability he left behind. He rents a modest, weather-beaten cottage in West Egg, a community of the new money. His small house is an afterthought, squeezed between colossal mansions that imitate French manners and Norman villas with a sort of architectural schizophrenia. These were the homes of stock market speculators, bootleggers, and entertainment moguls, all scrambling for a foothold in a society that secretly despised them for their lack of pedigree. Their wealth was loud, garish, and desperately insecure. Across a narrow inlet of the bay lies the more fashionable East Egg. This was a different world entirely. Here, the white palaces of the old money glittered with a serene and confident light. These were the aristocratic families whose wealth was so old and so vast that it had become quiet, elegant, and unassailable. Their mansions weren't just houses, they were estates, passed down through generations, their lawns rolling gracefully down to the water. This wasn't just a matter of geography, it was the invisible wall Gatsby would spend his life trying to climb. It was the difference between having money and being money, a distinction he would learn is impossible to overcome with cash alone. In East Egg lives Nick's cousin, Daisy Buchanan, and her brutishly powerful husband, Tom. They are the story's careless royalty, living in a beautiful red and white Georgian mansion that seems to float on the perfectly manicured lawn. Their life is one of restless, nomadic luxury, drifting wherever people played polo and were rich together. When Nick first visits, he finds Daisy and her friend, Jordan Baker, lounging on an enormous couch as white curtains billow around them like flags. The scene is interrupted by the ringing telephone, a call from Tom's mistress in New York, a brazen act of infidelity that Daisy is forced to endure. It is here she whispers her cynical, heartbreaking hope for her daughter to Nick. The best thing a girl can be in this world is a beautiful little fool. Tom is arrogance and entitlement made flesh. A former football star from Yale, he is a man of great physical strength and shallow character, convinced of his own superiority. And from the end of their dock, a single green light burns through the night, a tiny beacon in the vast darkness. Before Nick ever meets Gatsby, he hears the whispers. His mysterious neighbor is a phantom, a legend spoken of in hushed, contradictory tones. At the spectacular parties Gatsby throws every weekend, rumors swirl like the cigarette smoke in his gardens. He's a bootlegger. He's a cousin of the devil. He killed a man in cold blood. He was a German spy during the war. He's a nephew to the Kaiser himself. This cloud of misinformation is not an accident. It is a deliberate strategy to make himself a figure of irresistible fascination. Nick's first actual glimpse of the man is not amidst the chaos of a party, but on a dark, quiet night. He sees a figure emerge from the mansion, stand at the edge of the water, and stretch his arms out toward that single, distant green light. The man is trembling. It's not just a person looking at a light. It's the raw, physical manifestation of a man straining with all his might to touch the past, to reclaim a single moment from 5 years ago. That green light was a promise. It was the proof that the woman he lost, the life he wanted, was real and waiting for him just across the water. That light is the soul of his obsession, an obsession so powerful that it fueled one of the most elaborate and tragic performances the world has ever seen. The scene at one of Gatsby's parties is a controlled, spectacular chaos. Every Friday, crates of oranges and lemons arrive, and every Monday, those same fruits leave in a pyramid of pulpless halves. His house transforms from a quiet mansion by day into something like a World's Fair by night. On weekends, his Rolls-Royce becomes an omnibus, shuttling people from the city, while his station wagon meets every train. The house is blindingly lit, the gardens are alive with music from a full orchestra, and hundreds of guests in shimmering dresses and sharp tuxedos drift through the halls. This wasn't just a party, it was a meticulously crafted piece of theatre. In today's terms, Gatsby was the original influencer, building a personal brand of mystery and success, staging elaborate content for an audience of thousands, all in the desperate hope that his content would go viral and reach the one follower he cared about, Daisy. Waiters circulate with trays of champagne and cocktails, and a massive buffet table is laden with spiced baked hams, glistening hors d'oeuvres, and salads of harlequin designs. The air is filled with laughter, chatter, and the constant popping of corks. Nick watches a girl in a yellow dress spontaneously start dancing on a table, a man who drunkenly crashed his car in a ditch stare blankly at the wheel that has fallen off, and countless couples arguing in the shadows before disappearing into the house. Yet, amidst this swirling chaos, Gatsby himself remains strangely detached. He doesn't drink, he doesn't dance. He watches the crowd with a look of detached approval, like a conductor observing his orchestra, occasionally interrupted by a mysterious phone call from Philadelphia or Chicago. He is managing the event, not participating in it. Nick wanders through the crowd, feeling a sense of profound alienation, until he finally, almost accidentally, meets Gatsby. The meeting is comically understated. Sitting at a table, Nick strikes up a conversation with a man of about his own age. When Nick mentions he has yet to meet the host, the man turns to him, smiles a rare, understanding smile of eternal reassurance, and announces, "I'm Gatsby." There is no grand entrance. There is only a man whose elaborate formality of speech, calling everyone old sport, hints at a carefully constructed persona. But beneath it, Nick senses a deep and powerful romantic readiness, a hopefulness that is almost childlike. This is the truth behind the myth. He is not a jaded cynic, but a believer, and this entire circus is for an audience of one. To understand a creation this obsessive, you have to understand its creator. The author, Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald, was the king and prophet of this new American era, the Jazz Age. After the grim ordeal of the Great War, a generation that had seen the pointless slaughter in the trenches came home deeply cynical of the old world's values. They threw themselves headfirst into a frantic pursuit of the new, fueled by a dangerous belief that enough money could erase the past and purchase any future you could imagine. Fitzgerald was its quintessential participant. He was a man of immense ambition and insecurity, forever feeling like an outsider peering through the window at the lives of the truly wealthy. He fell desperately in love with Zelda Sayer, a beautiful and wild socialite who refused to marry a man who couldn't support her extravagant lifestyle. This rejection lit a fire under him. He wrote with a desperate urgency, not just for art, but to win the woman he considered the golden prize of his life. When his first novel made him an overnight sensation, he got the fame, the fortune, and the girl. They became the celebrity couple of the Jazz Age, famous for their talent and their wild, self-destructive exploits, like riding on the hoods of taxis down Fifth Avenue. But their love was as brilliant and destructive as the era itself. This desperate chase, the story of a man who elevates a woman into a symbol of everything he desires, would become the beating heart of his masterpiece. He was writing about a fictional millionaire, but he was truly writing about himself. The full story of Gatsby's past is revealed to Nick by the golfer Jordan Baker. 5 years earlier, a young, penniless lieutenant named Jay Gatsby fell in love with Daisy. When he was sent to war, he promised to return. She promised to wait, but the pressures of her social world were too great. She married Tom Buchanan, a man of her own class. Gatsby, however, never gave up. His real name was James Gatz, the son of poor farmers from North Dakota. He had reinvented himself, escaping his origins through sheer, unwavering ambition. This was the ultimate story of hustle culture, a man willing to do anything to achieve his goal. Was he a romantic hero or a dangerous obsessive? He had learned the ways of the wealthy from a boozy old millionaire named Dan Cody, who took him aboard his yacht as a personal assistant and showed him a world of privilege he never knew existed. From Cody, he inherited a small fortune which he was cheated out of, but a much larger education in how to play the part of a wealthy man. Gatsby literally reinvented himself to achieve his dream. What do you think? Was he a romantic hero or a dangerous obsessive? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. He wasn't just in love with a woman, he was in love with a memory, a snapshot in time he was trying to recapture, filter, and make permanent. For 5 years, he had read the Chicago papers, searching for any mention of Daisy's name. This was the ultimate parasocial relationship, an obsession with an idealized image, not a person. His quest culminates in a simple request. He wants Nick to invite Daisy for tea, so he can casually drop by. In his nervousness, Gatsby has Nick's lawn mowed and sends over an entire greenhouse of flowers to his small cottage. The reunion, when it happens, is painfully awkward. Gatsby, so poised and confident as a host, becomes a nervous, clumsy boy, almost knocking over a clock in his agitation. But then, as he shows Daisy his mansion, a change occurs. The house is a testament to his obsession, with its Merton College library filled with real, uncut books, its music rooms, and Adam's studies. It's not a home, it's a resume. The tour culminates in his bedroom, where he begins throwing his expensive, custom-made English shirts onto the bed, a colorful pile of silk and linen. Daisy, overwhelmed, buries her face in the shirts and begins to cry. She is weeping not for their love, but for the sheer, tangible proof of his wealth, the beautiful symbol of what she could have had. For Gatsby, it's a moment of triumph. For the reader, it is a chilling sign that his dream is built on a foundation of materialism, not love. He truly believes that the past can be repeated and repaired. But between the glittering eggs and the shining promise of New York City lies a place called the Valley of Ashes. It is a desolate wasteland of industrial grey, a dumping ground for the city's refuse, where the smoke from factories perpetually hangs in the air. It's a vision of a modern hell, a place of grit and despair, presided over by a forgotten billboard. On it, the giant, blue, bespectacled eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, an advertisement for a long-gone oculist, watch over the decay. They are the eyes of a forgotten god in this faithless world, a silent, judging witness to the moral consequences of the careless games played by the rich, who speed through this valley on their way to their amusements. This valley is the grim reality upon which Gatsby's beautiful dream is built, and it is where that dream will come to die. The end begins on the suffocatingly hot day of summer. The boiling tension finally erupts in a claustrophobic suite at the Plaza Hotel. Fueled by whiskey, Tom confronts Gatsby, attacking his identity. He reveals he knows the source of Gatsby's wealth, bootlegging and organized crime. He paints Gatsby not as a romantic, but as a cheap fraud. The air crackles, the sweat drips. The dream begins to die in real time. Desperate, Gatsby demands Daisy say she never loved Tom. This is the moment his entire world depends on. But Daisy, under pressure, cannot do it. She admits she loved Tom once. For Gatsby, this is unthinkable. His dream wasn't just to have her, it was to erase the part of her past that didn't include him. The great Jay Gatsby deflates into a defeated man. It is during this terrible confrontation that Nick suddenly realizes it's his 30th birthday, a somber milestone marking the end of his youth amidst the wreckage of his friends' lives. The drive home is grim. A shattered Gatsby allows Daisy to drive his car. As they speed through the Valley of Ashes, Tom's mistress, Myrtle Wilson, runs into the road. Daisy doesn't stop. The car strikes Myrtle, killing her instantly, and speeds away. This brutal collision of dreams and reality is one of the most powerful moments in American literature. If you find this story as compelling as we do, consider sharing this video with someone who appreciates a timeless tragedy. The accident is the bloody consequence of their carelessness. And Gatsby, in a final doomed act of chivalry, decides instantly that he will take the blame. He stands watch outside Daisy's house all night, a lonely sentinel guarding a woman who is already inside, reconciling with her husband, letting the dream die so their comfortable reality can survive. The morning after, a gardener finds Gatsby's body floating in his pool. It is a squalid, lonely end, delivered by Myrtle's grieving husband, who was misled by Tom into believing Gatsby was the killer. Gatsby's death reveals the final, ugly truth of his world. The magnificent house falls silent. The hundreds of guests who drank his liquor disappear. Nick's attempts to organize a proper funeral are met with cold indifference. He calls Gatsby's supposed friends and business partners, but they all have excuses. His chief associate, Meyer Wolfsheim, the gangster who made him, delivers a chillingly cynical philosophy. Let us learn to show our friendship for a man when he is alive, and not after he is dead. He refuses to get involved. Gatsby's father, Henry C. Gatz, arrives from Minnesota, a frail old man in awe of his son's success. He proudly shows Nick a tattered book from Gatsby's childhood, with a detailed schedule for self-improvement written inside. It's a heartbreaking testament to the ambition that drove him from the very beginning. Daisy, the entire reason for his life's quest, has already left town with Tom, leaving no word and no forwarding address. The hollowness of Gatsby's social world is laid bare. He was surrounded by a crowd, but he was utterly alone. In the end, the only people who attend the funeral are Nick, his father, and the strange, bespectacled man from the parties, who marvels that he was right about Gatsby all along. Weeks later, Nick confronts Tom on the street. Tom shows no remorse, believing Gatsby deserved what he got. Nick realizes then that Tom and Daisy are like children, smashing up people and things, knowing their immense wealth will always shield them from the consequences. He is done with them and with the East. His journey is over. The glittering promise of his youth has been revealed as a moral wasteland. He realizes that Gatsby, for all his flaws and his corrupt fortune, possessed a singular gift for hope, a romantic readiness that he would never find in anyone else. Gatsby believed in the green light, and that belief, however misguided, set him apart from the cynical, hollow world that destroyed him. In the end, Gatsby's tragedy wasn't that his dream was too big, it was that the object of his dream was too small. He built an empire for a woman who was really just a beautiful, careless ghost. And that is the haunting question the great Gatsby leaves us with, even in 2025. Are you sure the dream you're chasing is worth the price? Or is your own green light just a signal from a past you can never and should never get back to? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the beautiful, dark illusion of Jay Gatsby's American Dream, hit that like button and let us know in the comments which classic novel you want us to put under the microscope next. Subscribe for more deep dives that reveal the shocking truths and timeless tragedies hidden within the world's greatest stories. To make sure you don't miss the next one, ring that notification bell and be the first to uncover the secrets your English teacher never told you.